All right, shalom, shalom. Hey, first and foremost, want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakakwadash. All right, double honors to our apostles and elder bishops here at Great Millstone. Shalom to you, Akim. All right, who will push in the work of truth. All right, and in sincerity. Shalom, shalom. All right, so I kind of want to go ahead and delve right into this one. We know as of late, people are going to start feeling the pressure, okay, from Esau, but mainly, all right, more importantly, uh, the Lord is using, all right, Esau to come against, all right, our people in judgment, okay, and it's nothing new. You see, throughout the scriptures, the Lord, would always send a prophet. Our people would always reject him, ridicule him, misuse him, as the scriptures say. Here, let me go ahead and find that really quick. All right. I want to bring this out. First Ezra's 1 and 50. All right. Because, of course, ain't nothing new under the sun. Whenever the Lord sent us, they rejected us, and you see that throughout the scripture, you know. And what, you know, our people don't realize until it's way too late is that the prophet is an extension of the Lord's warning, the Lord's mercy, all right before he allows that flood of wrath to come upon the people. And as I said before, the so-called white man is nothing more than a whooping stick. He's a tool. All right. With them cutting essentially aid to the people mainly, you know, it's going to affect everybody. But, our people, they lean on it the most. What I mean by that, they have full trust in the so-called white man and his system. And what the Lord is about to do is to show you that the one you trust in is the devil. He's an oppressor. And they're going to see it the hard way. All in the same time, this whole time we've been telling them, warning them, and trying to get their minds right, trying to get them to turn back. Okay. And it's just going to be, our people going to be shit out of luck. All right. And there's more coming. There's more evils coming. And Esau's about to prove that what we've been saying, that he's the devil. All right. He's already set the narrative to the world that you are the evil. You are the problem. You are the wicked to the world. So what's next? All right. The brother Ash brought this out. All right. So I'm only, borrowing precepts, but it was fitting because, and then this being a topic. And actually I'm reading Ezekiel right now, how the Lord, gave him command to actually prophesy against, Israel. He made him do what they call sign acts, where he had to make a replica of Jerusalem and stage an attack, literally in front of the Israelites. He was being used as a spectacle. Okay, and that's just how the Lord. That's how He does it. The Lord is using us and making us a spectacle. Why? To get their attention. It's a lovely song. All right, and we're charmers. But will they take heed? No, they ain't taking heed. So First Ezra 1 and 50, nevertheless, the God of their fathers sent by his messenger to call them back. That's it. That's all we doing. Because he spared them and his tabernacle also. And there's times in the history where he allowed the enemy to destroy his tabernacle. Now we understand that our bodies are his tabernacle in this time. It's a spiritual tabernacle. Okay. So at times in history, he would spare, but he would also throw down and allow the enemy to throw down. So what do you think he's going to do on this go round? Verse 51. But they had his messengers in derision. Another word for derision is mocking. Okay. And so that's what they do. We I just seen the video of the guy Drewski, you know. It's all cosplay and it's all fun and games, but this ain't no funny message. This is a life and death. This is a serious thing, you know. So my bad. I wanted to grab something. Derision. Yeah. The word here, it says ridicule, mockery, subjection to ridicule or mockery. All right. Laughing to scorn, and that's the way you find our people. They're laughing the Lord's prophets, his men that he sent, and in our message, they're laughing us to scorn. Like, that ain't gonna happen. And it's a joke to our people. It's seriously a joke to them. It's all fun and games. But they had his messengers, First Ezra 1 and 51, in derision. And look, when the Lord spake unto them, they made a sport of his prophets. Oh man, I'm gonna get that. Yeah, screaming black power. That ain't our message. That ain't what we telling y'all. It's funny now, but what they have, what ridicule or mockery, laughing to scorn, mockery. Okay, all right. So it's funny. It's all fun and games, and everybody laughing, but the Lord is setting up their judgment right in front of their faces, and they can't see it because they're so distracted with entertainment and fulfilling the lust of their flesh. And the Lord is about to take away their conveniences. He's about to take away their comfort. Rightfully so. They had ample time. First Ezra 1 and 51 again, but they had his messengers in derision. And look, when the Lord spake unto them, they made sport of his prophets. Okay. And that many times they murdered the prophets. I had a list and I looked it up on chat at different times. The different prophets in chronological order who were murdered, sawn in half, stoned, all sorts of things. But the Lord is about to get his get back because he ain't one to be laughed at. Verse 52 Slaki. So far forth that he, being wroth with his people for their great ungodliness, commanded the kings of the Chaldees to come up against them. All right. So who you think he's going to call this time to judge you? Because the Lord ain't got to lift a finger. He has a hired servant, and that's Esau. All right. Who slew their young men with the sword, yea, even within the compass of their holy temple. So the Lord didn't care. He allowed them to desecrate it. He allowed them to spill blood in the temple. And that means a lot too, because the Lord don't play about his temple. right? So it says, and spared neither young man nor maid, old man nor young among them, for he delivered all into their hands. And what do you think you're gonna do with the wicked on this time? This time, especially the way they defy the Most High, and you dealing with the last generation of our people, which they, you know, they're wicked. They're super wicked. All right. Here's what I was talking about earlier: a sign of the coming siege. And now, son of man, Ezekiel 4:1, take a large clay brick and set it down in front of you. Then draw a map of the city of Jerusalem on it. Show the city under siege. All right. This is the NLT. But he staged an attack. You know how you like a kid will sit down and play with the cars and, go through a whole, a whole imaginary state using his imagination. Well, the Lord put the spirit on Ezekiel to do a whole a play, so to speak. All right. It says, build a wall around it so no one can escape. Set up the enemy's camp and surround the city with siege ramps and battering rams. Then take an iron griddle and place it between you and the city turn toward the city and demonstrate how harsh the siege will be against Jerusalem. This will be a warning to the people of Israel. So he made him go out his way and do something uh, so so much of a spectacle as this. All right, he made him do a whole spectacle. We know the scriptures talk about the foolishness of teaching, but what we do would save lives, though it may be foolish in the sight of men. All right, so so Salakia. All right, it says right, so he made him put on a whole spectacle, and it's nothing different from what we do now. Except also he had to cook his food over dung. Okay, which these are all you know uh, symbolic things that he made him do to represent certain things. All right, that Israel was doing. Okay, he also had to play the scapegoat. All right, he had to put their burdens upon himself. All right. So, and just like Ezekiel was commissioned, or we were commissioned, Ezekiel was commissioned right along with other prophets as well. So I'm only bringing this up because it's fresh in my mind, you know, uh, uh, and it kind of teeters along the point. Okay, and this is what the Lord had to say. This is what you know. Let's see here. Ezekiel 3:24. Then the Spirit entered into me and set me upon my feet and spake with me and said unto me, go shut thyself within thine house. But thou, O son of man, behold, they shall put hands upon thee and shall bind thee with them, and thou shalt not go out among them. All right. Hold on, Salaki. Too early for that one. Here, I can start at 1. Ezekiel 33:1. Moreover, he said unto me, son of man, eat that thou findest, eat this roll. All right. This is dealing with the prophet. And in other words, the Lord told him to sit down and read. All right. Consume this message. Get this understanding. And that's what the prophets had to do. And go speak unto the house of Israel. So I opened my mouth, and he caused me to eat that roll. And he said unto me, son of man, cause thy belly to eat, and fill thy bowels with this roll that I give thee. Then did I eat it, and it was in my mouth as honey for sweetness. Right? Because this word is sweet when you when you first hear the truth, it's like the most beautiful song you ever heard, because it touches you, you know, right in the heart. Okay. So it says, and he said unto me, son of man, go get thee unto the house of Israel and speak with my words unto them. Okay. Okay. So, and that's the Lord. The Lord is always sending his prophets. The scriptures say be times, and meaning in the morning. All right. I know brothers was going into this precept. I know, let's see. Yeah, Second Chronicles 36 and 15. And the Lord Yahweh, all right, power of their fathers sent to them by his messengers, rising up betimes and sending, because he had compassion on his people and on his dwelling place. That's right. And he has compassion upon our people. That's why he sent out his prophets. But what do our people? Our people mock. All right. And we just seen, the whole skit with Drewski. All right. I mean, I'm sure you've seen it. I ain't playing it. So what is the Lord gonna do? He's gonna use his whooping stick. All right. He's gonna judge, because guess what? 1 Peter 4 and 17. For the time has come that judgment must begin at the house of God, because the Lord is on his way back, and he's about to purge. And the scripture says he's about to thoroughly purge his floor. Right, where he's about to set his men in order, and those who are destined to be destroyed, they're gonna be destroyed. All right. And by the time he comes, everything's gonna be set in place for him to do what he needs to do. That order and judgment is gonna be set. All right, and you ain't gonna be able to save those that are condemned, and those that are justified and saved. All right, ain't nobody gonna be able to touch. And if it first begin at us, what shall the end be of them that obey not the gospel? All right. Slack it. And if it first begin at us, what shall the end be of them that obey not the gospel of God? All right. And if the righteous scarcely be saved, meaning is dangerously, we're going to be in a dangerous situation. If the righteous scarcely be saved, where shall the ungodly and the sinner appear? They won't appear. All right. So this is a fearful thing, especially what we see the Lord lining. And the Lord plays chess. We know this. He's very tactical and very strategic. And we're about to see the Lord get at Jake, and then he's going to get at our enemies. You see, all while keeping us, and having a hedge around us. So Psalm 17 and 8, it says, keep me as the apple of the eye. Hide me under the shadow of thy wings, from the wicked that oppress me, from my deadly enemies who compass me about. All right. And our enemies are very deadly. And now they have technology, and they're militarized. All right. And that's that's a bad combination. They got tech right along with the weaponry. All right. So it's going to be, you're not going to be able to escape. And what's about to happen again is that the Lord's he's about to allow them to set a trench around us. Just like, just like the Lord said, but Ezekiel, the Lord, he made Ezekiel make a replica of the city of Jerusalem being besieged. Okay. So, and that all was for a spectacle, for Jake to see it. and take heed. That is very different, but you can say it's subtle in a way. All right, the Lord always is warning. So verse 10, they are enclosed in their own fat, with their own mouth, or with their mouth they speak proudly. They have now compassed us in our steps. They have set their eyes bowing down to the earth. Right, like a predator to its prey. Like as a lion that is greedy of his prey. And as it were a young lion lurking in secret places. And that's what Esau is lurking in secret. He's likened unto he's lurking in secret places, because when he attacks, all right, or when he strikes or comes in like a flood, it's gonna be unaware. And we know to be on watch, because the time of the Lord, the day of the Lord, is like a thief in the night. All right, and he's gonna pounce on Jake, and that's what's happening. Now you got our people making videos about basically insurrection. So bam, he got you on that alone. So he can beef up the troops. He can implement more rigorous laws. You know, scriptures say he spake as a dragon, two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. Now he's gone from that, the sweet old politician, the helpful politician, to that dragon, that terrifying, dragon, who's going to harshly punish you. Right? It says, like as a lion that is greedy of his prey, like he can't have enough. And Esau ain't gonna, it's gonna be like he can't have enough. And in the scriptures say, man, that's how we know it's not gonna be no joke. Even though that's what Jake is trying to put it as. It's not gonna be no joke at all. Even we're gonna be, kind of moved by it, and you know. Let me finish this. It says, arise, O Lord, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword, right? From men which are thy hand, O Lord, from men of the world, which have their portion in this life, and whose belly thou fillest with thy hid treasure. They are full of children, and leave the rest of their substance to their babes. And right, you got whole generations of Edomites who, the Lord is about to put the spirit on them again, but he's not going to allow them to overcome his elect. And that's this. We always talk about this. All right. And this is definitely going to be Jacob's trouble when we're seeing it. And Esau with his sly, slithering, deceitful self, spawning the trap, setting the trap. And now you got Jake's from their own mouths, inciting insurrection because of them taking, a liberty away. Mind you, they don't believe that food and water. It was America and the state of Israel who voted that food and water is not a basic necessity anymore. It's not no, it's not a human right, I believe. And this is why they, vote the way they vote. Oops. So bear with me for a second. Let me see. All right, here's one. Nestle's former CEO, Peter Brabeck, has stated that he believes water is not a human right, arguing that it should be treated as a market commodity. The scripture said, our water is sold to us, you know, and we're under great, affliction and oppression right now. Here, let me see if I can find that precept. Yep, Lamentations 5:4. Let's see here. Lamentations 5:4. We have right, and that's how this devil wants the world to be, and continuously like this. This is terrible, man. Lamentations 5:4. We have drunken our water for money. All right, our wood is sold unto us. Yep. Now, in the normal world, in the perfect world, we wouldn't have to live the way we live in. Working. We would all have a farm. We would all till our own soil. We would all, grow our own food so that we would be able to sustain ourselves. But in Esau, the so-called white man's eyes, that that alone, you being self-sufficient, okay, is a threat to him and his way of life. All right. Second Ezra 16:68. That's out of their own mouths. That's what they believe. All right. And I believe it was more than just Nestle CEO. All right. It was at some big council they had as well. But he definitely said it. I think a few other people said it. That they said food is not a human right. Something like that. I got to fact check it. Didn't imply that. Okay. Yeah, I wanted to show y'all that before. Oh, yeah, here we go. Why did the U.S. and Israel vote against making food a human right? This is on par for where we at now. From this article on The Guardian, from UN hunger expert, U.S. must recognize right to food to fix broken system. And they're not going to fix it because it's predicated on benefiting them. you know. So it says, let's see. In 2021, the U.S. and Israel were the only countries to vote against a United Nations committee draft that asserted food as a human right. The U.S. said the resolution contained many unbalanced, inaccurate, and unwise provisions. Okay. Answers here. It says not too sure. All right. What the Israel's motivation was, and this is stackexchange.com. People ask questions and other people post answers. It's like Reddit. All right. This is kind of my first time running into this. So it says, but for the U.S., the between the line essence from what the official said would be this is simple terms. The right to food is a positive right, unlike the rest of globally recognized human rights. Guaranteeing it requires action, not refraining from action to guarantee it. Someone has to do work to produce and supply the food, essentially guaranteeing. And we see how America eats. All right, it's overly saturated with different brands these brands make food, so the consumer uh, would consume the food and end up in their health, their Ponzi scheme or of a healthcare system. Okay, here, let me just there we go. And fair use being funded by ordinary people. Okay, so they want me to pay for it. UN hunger expert, U.S. must recognize food. So they're not recognizing, food as a human right. So 2nd Ezra 16:68, for behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you, and they shall take away certain of you and feed you, being idle with things offered unto idols. That burning wrath of a great multitude over you, because they're coming in wrath, because they know that they have a short time. All right. And this is going to be the troops. And they ain't going to spare, they're not going to spare Jake, because the Lord going to put the spirit on them not to. You can already see what motivates their hate. The narrative that, Jake use up all the resources. They're the most violent. They're the most, they're just evil and wicked. And the eyes of the so-called white man, black people are just the axis of evil. Even though we know that's just not the truth. The so-called white man created the evil that we see in the so-called black, Latino, and Native American. It's called culture creation. All right. Oh, they cultivated, all right, the culture in which Jake is and the principles that Jake lived by. They put it in movies, so on and so forth. Okay, but man, I digress. Verse 69. Oh, let me finish it. All right. So the great multitude is kindled over you. That is the troops, and they shall take away certain of you and feed you, being idle with things offered unto idol. That means they're going to detain you. All right, because when you idle, you can't move. All right, with things offered unto idols, which is the chip. They're gonna offer it. It's gonna be an offering. All right. In order for you to, live life normal, you're gonna have to take that chip. But let me tell you, this ain't normal. And what Esau is promoting as normal is completely abnormal. It's completely not normal. All right. It's an insane way to live life. It says, and they that consent unto them shall be had in derision, meaning you're gonna be mocked and in reproach and trodden underfoot because they're gonna murder you. They're gonna they're gonna do a number with our people. For there shall be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. Jacob's trouble, and it shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. You Israelites, okay? You that so-called believe, all right? And a lot of you that so-called believe is, you don't believe entirely the 100% truth, you know. So for they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses, because that's what they want to do. They want to go door to door. And we've heard Edomites say it. Then shall they be known who my chosen is. Then shall they be known who are my chosen, and they shall be tried as the gold and the fire. Because when they come, of course, as the scriptures say, when they come in as a flood, Isaiah 59:19. So shall they fear the name of the Lord Yahweh from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun, which is in the east. When the enemy shall come, right? Because the Lord's going to show the mighty work, right? When the enemy shall come in like a flood, those are the troops. And by the way, flood is definitely a military. They use that in military terms. The spirit of the Lord Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, shall lift up a standard against him. All right. So you're going to know who the elect is, right? Because of the standard that's going to be lifted. Then shall they be known who are my chosen. And this is during the time the troops are coming in and going door to door. The Lord going to lift up a standard. And the word for standard is Nasa, or Nawas, Salagi. Nawas, to flee, escape, to flee, all right, to take flight, all right, depart, disappear, okay, spiritual power. That's the only way we're going to make it out of it. There ain't no way we're going to beat Esau. And they know it because, but they really don't account for the Lord to step in, you know. And that's going to be what, Daniel 12:1. And at that time shall Michael stand up, all right, the great prince which standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. All right. So the worst times ever. And let me tell you, 70 AD was the worst times ever, but that's coming back around. Just like the siege of Babylon, okay? The Assyrians, the worst time ever. So we're going to have, the worst time ever in this age. Being that this is, pretty much the finality of all things. All things pretty much, being determined as far as the prophecies, all right, are concerned. All right. All right. So it says, and at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book. Okay. This is Psalms 91. All right. Security of the one who trusts in the Lord, because faith, all right, is needed in this time, because the law, yeah, you can think the law is going to save you, but it's faith that the Lord requires. Psalm 91:11, for he shall give his angels charge over thee, all right, to keep thee in all thy ways. All right. And there's many ways that danger is coming to this place. And the angels of the Lord is going to protect us from us all, from it all. He's going to save us out of it. All right. Lift up a standard against him. All right. He's going to have the angels keep us in the way. And we read Daniel 12. All right. Dealing with Mayaka Allah. All right. He's going to stand up. So there's going to be definitely something in the spirit. All right. That everyone feels, So 2nd Ezra 16:17, woe is me, who will deliver me in those days. The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death. The beginning of wars, right? And every type of war, from civil war, all right, to a nation against nation warring against each other. Okay. and the power shall stand in fear, meaning what? The governments of the world. And the beginning of evils, what shall I do when these evils come? All right, so like, behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. All right. And this sums up the whole lesson. There's punishments coming. There's punishments coming because that was a warning. That was a warning to the whole world. Starting with you Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans. So, you got a lot of people debating. They want to debate about the Bible. Well, the Lord has set up his men to make it clear and do it daily. While everybody is trying to make, you know, uh, something out of themselves, I guess, for the lack of words, you know, these people have no clue. Even though we're right in front of their faces prophesying, they have no clue that this is an extension of the Lord's mercy. Okay. So, but for all these things, they shall not turn, all right, from their wickedness. So the Lord's going to send punishments for amendment, all right, for betterment. That's what amendment means, to better something. He's going to send punishments because it's a wicked world. But for all these things, they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. And you see, Jake is not even thinking in their brains that, maybe the Lord took it away, or, the reason why my food stamps gone and I can't be able to take care of will not be able to take care of my kids is because of my wickedness. Ain't nobody thinking about that. And what the Lord is doing is visiting these people's pride. Beautiful work. All right. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verse 1. Ecclesiastes 5 and 1. Set not thy heart upon thy goods, and say not, I have enough for my life. Follow not thine own mind and strength and thy strength. And that's what people are doing. And they're doing it in a proud, arrogant way, an unappreciative way. All right. They haven't appreciated what the Lord had done, what the Lord had wrought, Okay. They're not admiring what the Lord had done and acknowledging it. They're ungrateful. Okay. I'm going to just cue this up real quick. Yep. Then they shall be in pitiful case. Right? So check this out. This is what the scriptures say. Set not thy heart upon thy goods, and say not, I have enough of my life. Follow not thine own mind and thy strength to walk in the ways of thy heart. So you in your mind, everything you do is predicated off of how you feel and what your viewpoints on the world is about. And you have not sought out the counsel of the Lord. You ain't even, read the book. You ain't even listened to the men that were reading the book. And say not, who shall control me for my works? For the Lord will surely revenge thy pride. And that's what the Lord is doing with these punishments that's coming. Revenging the pride. 2 Ezra 9 and 9, then shall they be in pitiful case, which now have abused my ways, and they that have cast them away despitefully shall dwell in torments. Right? You cast away the Lord away from you. All right? You're going to dwell in torments. And that's what these people, they're going to be tormented. Okay? They're not going to be able to eat. They're not going to be able to buy the fancy clothes, do all the stunting, do all the flexing, do all the talking shit. The Lord is cutting all of that, doing all the proud gesturing, the shaking of the ass, all of these things that they do on social media now, you're not going to be able to do it because the Lord is about putting into it. Verse 10, for such as in their life have received benefits and have not known me. So you receive benefits of the Lord. And now he's going to revenge your pride because you ain't acknowledge him at all. You said to hell with him. But the whole time he was giving you, the Lord's scripture say, the Lord maketh rich, he maketh poor. I believe that the Lord, do these things. He does those things, like set you up and set people up for life. All right. And he can have you just living day to day, daily bread. All in all, it comes from the Lord. So, all right. I'm going to end it in a second, right quick. Okay. Oh, yeah, that's what I want. Second Ezra, chapter 15, verses 5. All right. Well, you know what? I'm going to start at 1. Start at 1. Salaki. All right. Second Ezra 15:1. Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, said the Lord. Right. And prophecy meaning to say before. So we're telling you what's going to happen before it happens. And that's what we've been simply doing. And they laughed at us. They ignored us. And now they're mad at us. Right? And caused them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true. Meaning it's a sure thing. For fear not the imaginations against thee, let not the incredulity of them trouble thee that speak against thee. All right. And so we ain't feeling nothing that the ancient prophets of old haven't felt themselves. Being mocked, being scorned, being abused. Right. So fear not the imaginations against thee. Right. And let not the incredulity of them trouble thee that speak against thee. So they come in much unbelief. Okay. And we got to bear it. It's part of it's we got to bear it. It says, for all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. Eventually, because they didn't believe, they're not going to be saved. They're condemned already. Just because you didn't believe. Because it was always a one-way trip. And if you ain't get, if you ain't make your reservation or you ain't get on board, then that's on you. 2 Ezra 15:5. Behold, said the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. For wickedness hath exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled. It's his earth, damn it. You think he's not going to take it back? You think he's not going to address everything that happened in his earth? Everything he created, he accounted it. Right? And you're going to have to deal with everything everything you accounted for. Everything you done in his earth. Because you live off the benefit of his creation. Or you're benefiting from his creation. So all right. So those hurtful works are fulfilled. Therefore, said the Lord, I will hold my tongue no more as touching their wickedness. That's why the prophets are here. Exposing the wicked, exposing the transgressions of our people toward the Lord, addressing everything on earth, everything spiritual. The spiritual man judgeth all things, which they profanely commit. Neither will I suffer them in those things in which they wickedly exercise themselves. Behold, the innocent and righteous blood crieth unto me. Right. You had many died. You had many died for the sake of righteousness, for the sake of bringing the truth out. And they were just, spat on. All right. They were murdered and treated obscenely, treated in the worst way possible, disregarded as the worst thing possible. Right. So that the innocent blood is what the Lord is going to require. And everybody that spoke against what those innocent men, all right, and women, you know, goodness gracious. All right, so let's kind of finish it up. All right, so it says the innocent and righteous blood crieth unto me, and the souls of the just complain continually. Right, and you think we're not praying for our brothers that and praying for ourselves, okay? And you don't think we're being you don't think we're not being prayed on or about? All right. So, verse 9, and therefore said the Lord, I will surely avenge them and receive unto me all the innocent blood from among them. Right. And this something no one's gonna be able to turn back. So, Lord willing, this was edifying. Until next time. And I give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakakodash. All right, double honors to the apostles and elder bishops at Great Millstone. Shalom to you, Akim, who are pushing the work in truth and in sincerity. Shalom.